Rassie Rasmus and the Springboks have just announced the 23-man side to take on the Barbarians this Saturday in what is going to be a loose, open, attacking game. But if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and my goal over the next 6 months is to bring you the best Springbok content possible. Leave this video a like, leave your opinions down in the comments, and let's get into it. So here is your Springbok side to face the Barbarians. And at first look, it's a well-balanced side. There's a couple of, I would call them shocks of players who aren't playing. Your Handré Pollards, your Ebenezebeths, and sort of the balance that Rassie Rasmus has gone for in the starting 23-man side. Also gone for a 5-3 bench split with a couple of surprising picks on the bench, which we'll get into. A couple of the younger guys that I thought might start in the backline haven't. Rassie's gone for a very experienced backline, maybe besides 9 and 10. But the rest is basically a World Cup winning backline. So let's go through it. Starting off with our front row: Oxenchair, Malcolm Marx, Asenati, and Clavacania. Now, I did think that Rassie was going to start Ox and Malcolm Marx just so that we could sort of get off to a good start, have our set pieces functioning properly. Ox has been scrumming like an absolute madman in the URC. It's going to be good to see Malcolm Marx back on home soil and starting in that number 2 role. And then as we get into the bench, I'll sort of explain how I see those positions for hooker working at the moment. And then Asenati coming in on debut. Now, obviously, this isn't going to count as an official Springbok cap, but it is his first time in the green and gold, and what an opportunity for the youngster. I mean, in the URC or across competitions this last season, Asenati started 21 games for the Lions. He had, I think it was an 80% tackle completion rate. He is an absolute beast. And to be scrumming alongside the likes of Ox, it's a very, very heavy front row. I'm surprised Volko Lowe's not in the mix at all in the Springbok 23. But I think that's a very, very solid front row in Ox, Malcolm Marx, and Asenati and Clavacania. We then move over into the lock department. And very, very surprising, to be honest, that Ebenezebeth or Archie Snyman isn't getting a start. Now, I do know the Bulls players, the Leinster players, the Japanese players maybe had a bit of a longer season than the rest. But, I mean, Jean Klein in that number 4 jersey with Louis Dioche. Now, it's fantastic to see Louis Dioche back in a Springbok jersey. He's been out for about 2 years because of injuries. And then Jean Klein has had a very good season for Munster. I mean, we saw that matchup when it was Munster versus the Sharks, Ebenezebeth versus Jean Klein. So I think our lock stocks are in such a good place at the moment. And I mean, you could start any 2 of our locks. That's how deep we go with our lock department. So, I mean, very, very good tight 5, a big tight 5. And it's going to be, I'm really, really interested to see how that tight 5 operates in the set pieces, in the scrums, as well as the lineouts. Then into the loose forward department. And there was a little bit of a leak yesterday that was reported by Report that Rassie Rasmus was going to go for Sia Khaleesi, Vincent Chichuka, and Jean-Luc Depriere. So I do love that Sia starting. We know that when he pulls on that Springbok jersey and he runs out as captain, he does turn into a bit of a different beast. He was also one of the Sharks' standout players. I think he was their highest try scorer alongside Ethan Hooker this season for the Sharks. Then a fellow Shark, Vincent Chichuka. And I mean, what a story this is for Vincent. And I'm sure Manu, his brother, will be following in his footsteps quite soon. But moving from the Lions to the Sharks, end up getting their South African passports this year, then get selected. Vincent gets selected for the lineman camp and now is making his Springbok debut. Again, won't count as a cap, but I'm so happy for the guy that he's getting a start in that number 7 jersey. And I think it's a good test because he's coming up against a world-class trio of loose forwards in the Barbarians, in Shannon Frizzell, in Sam Cane, and in Peter Omani. So they're really going to put him to the test. We then got Jacques-Luc Depriere in that number 8 jersey. And I think with the injuries to Cameron Honeycomb, Jordan Augustus, Ulrich Lowe, we now really have Jasper Visser, Quagga Smith, Jean-Luc Depriere that can play in that 8 role. I might be and Evan Roos, who can play in that 8 role. It's good to see Jean-Luc Depriere back. He's had a great season for Sale Sharks. Hasn't been in the mix for the Springboks for a couple of years, but it's going to be interesting to see how our loose trio goes up against their loose trio. It's going to be a battle for the ages. So, I mean, overall for the pack, I think some good diversity in sort of bringing veterans in as well as these new guys. Asenati, Vincent, two guys getting a debut. Luat Diach has been out for ages. Jean-Luc Dupree has been out for ages. So you could argue that there's almost four guys there that are new to the new Springbok squad, and then balanced out by four guys who are very, very experienced in a Springbok jersey. We then move over into the backline, and quite a surprise for me, to be honest with you. Now, what we do have to understand is that when we play against the Barbarians, it's going to be a loose game. It's going to be fluid. It's going to be very attacking. And I think that's the backline that Rassie Rasmus has gone for. A backline that knows each other, but also with a sprinkle of attacking flair and capability. So, I mean, if we look at the 9 and 10 combination, Morne van den Berg, who made his debut against Portugal last year, and Sasha Feinberg Mgumazulu. I mean, this is the perfect game for Sasha because it's going to be open. He's going to have a lot of space. He's going to be able to look up, read the game, and throw some of his ridiculous passes. He's going to bring so much confidence to that number 10 jersey and partner that up with Morne van den Berg, who's also very snipey, has a great boot, can also break the line open around the ruck. He's gonna probe and he's gonna test. And to combine those two who almost play similar game or similar style of rugby, I think is going to be very, very cool, as well as having that massive pack up front that's going to set that foundation and allow them clean ball and allow them to play that attacking style of rugby. If we then look at the rest of our backline, it's World Cup winners. It's Apelele Fassi, who made that 15 jersey his own last year. And we've been speaking a lot on this channel of who's going to wear that number 15 jersey. Is it going to be Fassi, Willie, or Damian Willemse? Fassi it is definitely his jersey at the moment. Willie is approaching his 100th cap, and then we know how good Damian Willemse can be. So let's just go through it quick. The centers, Damien Delende and Jesse Creel. We know what we're going to get from those guys. Damien's going to get us over the gain line. Jesse Creel's going to be elusive, also very, very good on defense. Our two wingers, our two best wingers, Kurt Lawrence and Cheslin Colby. And as South African fans, we haven't seen them for a while because they have been playing over in Japan. So that is going to be absolutely electric when they touch the ball in a packed out Cape Town stadium. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And then obviously Apelele Fassi in that 15 jersey. So we've gone for a very, very experienced backline with some flair in Morne van den Berg and Sasha. We've gone for a heavy pack sprinkled with newcomers as well as some veterans in Ox, Malcolm, Sierkalisi, Luat Diach, Jean Klein. So it's a very interesting balance. What's more interesting for me is our bench, because we've got Marnus van der Merwe, who is going to be coming off of the bench as a replacement hooker. And we've been speaking a lot about how's Rassie going to fit in Marnus van der Merwe, because we've got Malcolm Marx, we've got Bongi Munambe, and now we're looking for our third choice hooker. It was Johan Grobler last year. He's been dropped. So now it's going to be Marnus van der Merwe and Jan-Hendrik Wessels that are going to sort of not battle, but Rassie's going to see what fits best. He's gone for Marnus van der Merwe. I'm happy for the guys getting his debut. And he's gone for Jan-Hendrik Wessels in that prop position. So last year, Rassie Rasmus was sort of experimenting with, do we play Jan-Hendrik Wessels at prop or do we play him at hooker? He's had a phenomenal season for the Bulls at prop, and I think Rassie's seen that and is now going to play more as an out-and-out prop, but it is nice to have him as an option to play that hooker position. So we got Marnus, we got Jan-Hendrik Wessels, and then we got Neetling Forshia, who's also going to be making his debut in a Springbok jersey at his home stadium. He's had a phenomenal season for the Stormers, and I mean, that's a very, very good front row to bring on after the likes of an Ox, Malcolm, and Asenati. So there's no complaints there from me. Then Franco Mostert and Kwagga Smith are our two Lucy's and lock replacements. So I would expect Franco Mostert to go into the lock department. I was also interested to see whether he's going to take that number 7 jersey with Peter Steph the Toy being injured at the moment. Who's going to really stand up and put their hand up for that number 7 jersey? But I think we can expect Franco Mostert to go into a lock position, whether it's 4 or 5, and then Kwagga Smith to be that extra Lucy to come on at 6, 7, or 8. If we have 2 injuries in the loose forward department, then Franco Mostert can also play 6 or 7, and then Kwagga will probably go to 8. So we kind of do cover all bases. It is weird to speak about a 5-3 bench split when we're speaking about the Springboks. And then our 3 backline players, Kobus Reinach, Marnie Lebok and Andre Esterhazen. So that's interesting. We obviously know where Quibus and Marnie are going to come on. Sasha does give you a little bit of that utility of he can stay at 10, he can move to 12, he can go to 15, he can kind of shift around the back line. But Andre Esterhazen being on the bench means that he's going to come on for Damien Delende, which probably means that Sasha will move to 15 if Fussy gets injured or the likes. But it's going to be Quibus on for Marnie van den Berg, Marnie on for Sasha, and then Andre Esterhazen on for Damien Delende. A very, very interesting, very exciting start of the season for the Springboks. A solid Springbok 23. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, leave this video a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.